Now, because of those wins, my guess is you guys were drinking the Kool-Aid and we're all about Ramsey at this point, right? Does Dave Ramsey's advice help you or hurt you when you're trying to buy a house? All right, so we have Daniel here, and Daniel is not only my friend, but he is one of my employees. He is the media producer here at Stewardship. So you are the one who's gonna edit this video that we're recording now.
Probably.
Yes, so if you've enjoyed any of our content from Stewardship, whether that be the podcast, the blog, the videos, the 1-minute money tips, I'm sure he's gonna do like a pop, pop, pop with all of them all over the screen at this point.
Now I will.
Now, Daniel, who is Dave Ramsey to you?
My story with Dave is I had never lived outside of the house. I lived with my parents. My wife and I were still engaged, and our friend sat us down and was like, how are you gonna pay for everything?
So you guys were in a situation where you were newly married, newly out of the house, and you had no idea how to manage money at all.
We had no clue.
Dave came to the rescue.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what happened?
We had 9 CDs or something like that,
Yeah.
but he talked about how to budget, how to work together as a couple, and then he brought up the idea of becoming debt-free. And so we decided, even before our wedding, that we were gonna pay for our wedding with cash, and then decided to get debt-free as fast as we could. So we did everything he said. We cut up our credit cards. We had our honeymoon here.
Locally?
Yeah, in
You went
Scottsdale.
really inexpensive?
Yeah, and we sold stuff.
So you, as Dave Ramsey would say, you and Heather got to be gazelle intense.
Yeah.
And you experienced a win.
Yeah.
What was the big win?
Our goal was to pay it off, I think, before our first anniversary, and we actually paid off our debt within 9 months.
Wow.
It was $27,000.
Wow. So Dave Ramsey's advice not only helped Daniel and Heather experience a big win with the debt, but I'm guessing his advice, it helped you guys kind of get on the same page as a married couple, trying to figure out money and budgeting and all that as well, right?
His teaching about working together in a marriage is a big deal because it helped us figure out how to be on the same team, how to come together against something else.
Yeah.
We learned the behaviors and we learned how to communicate and work as a team, which helped us in other areas other than just finances.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Now, because of those wins, my guess is you guys were drinking the Kool-Aid and we're all about Ramsey at this point, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We hated credit cards. We said, no way, not gonna happen. We were very strict about our budget. Even after we paid off the debt, we were like, okay, it's time for baby step 3. Let's get on this and let's
Baby step 3 is?
save up an emergency fund.
Correct.
Of 3 to
6 months of expenses. Yep.
I'm a little out of practice.
No, you're good.
Not to spoil the end of the story. Like we were evangelizing the teaching. We ended up teaching it at church.
So you taught his class, Financial Peace University, which was the class that you and Heather took.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So we wanted to help people, and we saw this was a great way to do that because Dave's advice is fantastic for people who have no idea what they're doing with money, or people with really bad habits.
Yeah.
Which we hadn't really developed bad habits yet.
But he helped you create some good habits to start your marriage.
Yeah, we didn't have to unlearn stuff.
That's great.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. And similar to Dan, I've taught with my wife Financial Peace University too at my church, and I think a lot of Dave Ramsey's advice is really great. Something I often say, I actually said this to somebody yesterday as I was talking to him about it, I think about 80% of the stuff Dave Ramsey teaches is really, really great. Then there is 10% of the stuff that I'm like, I could argue one way or the other, and then there's another 10% where I'm like, ooh, I don't agree with that at all. Let's now fast forward. You and Heather have some money saved because you're trying to complete baby step 3. And you guys say to yourself, hey, maybe we should buy a home because we've got some money here. What did you guys do?
Just like everything else, we had no idea what we were doing. So we thought, hey, let's get in touch with a mortgage company and see what buying a house looks like.
Stop. Okay, if you guys are wondering if you should meet with a mortgage company or a mortgage professional before really even taking any actions on buying a house, do this. This is a really big deal. Most local mortgage brokerages aren't gonna charge you money for an initial meeting or an initial consult, and many of them are really great people. They're not gonna try to sell you something you don't need. You don't have to have fear. They're professionals that do this every day, and they're gonna educate you. And that education can empower you and help you take the right steps as you move towards your goal of home ownership. Please do this. Do this wise thing that Daniel and Heather did.
So we came and met with Greg, and he started looking at all our stuff, and this was almost 2 years after we paid off our debt.
Okay. You followed Dave's advice, pay off the debt, close all credit cards, debt is dumb, cash is king.
Yeah. all that. We closed all our accounts. We had no debt. We were like, hey, great, our income is there and our debt is not. So that's a good ratio. And then Greg decided to pull our credit report.
To really see what your debt is, because that's how they determine debt to income ratio. They look at the debts on your credit report.
Yeah, they don't just trust people say, no, I don't have any debt.
You're right.
They check.
Yeah.
And so he pulled the reports, and I had a credit score. I don't remember what it was. It was decent, but Heather didn't have one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was 0, because if you don't have any open accounts for like 6 months to a year, they'll just close your credit score account. It doesn't exist.
And as Dave would say, a credit score is an I'm good at debt score. And he has all kinds of pride in the fact that he doesn't have a credit score. That's a great thing. But was it a good thing for Heather and you as you went through this process?
No, because we wanted to get a home loan. And it turns out it's possible to get a home loan without a credit score.
But if you get a home loan without a credit score, you're kind of pigeonholed into like 1 or 2 loan options instead of all the different options that are out there. And more importantly, that option that you're pigeonholed into, it's more expensive on the interest rate. It's more expensive on the monthly payment because of these added things that have to go onto the payment. And it's not the most cost-effective solution specifically for first-time home buyers. And that's where you and Heather found yourself in that scenario, right?
Yeah. We had no credit score, but Greg said, here's what you do. Get a credit card, just use it to pay off gas. But that was really hard for me.
So you were given some wise advice from a wise and loving home loan advisor from a company that the owner of the company, me and my wife served his wife as she was in high school through church. So you'd think there'd be some trust there, but you were so apologetic about Dave Ramsey and drank the Kool-Aid so much that when you were given the advice, hey, just go get a credit card, charge gas on it, and pay it off every week, pay it off every month, that was hard for you.
It made me think, Greg's not looking out for me because Dave's looking out for me.
Yeah.
Right? Even though we had spent like 2 hours with Greg for free, learning so much, he put in the work to build trust with us. Not to mention the trust Heather already had in Stewardship. And that trust was still tested because just the hard lines that Dave has drawn, they were hard for us to navigate.
Here's something that I want you to understand. Dave Ramsey helped Daniel and Heather experience huge wins in their relationship, in their marriage, and with their finances. So as a result, they strongly trusted anything that he said. Here's a fact. Dave Ramsey, like me, like Daniel, and like you, is a human being. And we're not 100% right about 100% of the things. And that includes Dave Ramsey is not 100% right about 100% of finances. Daniel was getting advice from somebody who works in the mortgage industry and does it on a day-to-day basis and had more relevant information. You can still have trust, care, and appreciation for Dave Ramsey for what has been taught to you. And it's still okay if you deviate a little bit from the plan, from the information that he teaches. That's the big issue that I have with Dave Ramsey, is that he is required to draw so many hard lines in the sand, and he doesn't do it with a ton of humility because it works, and that helps rescue people out of bad situations, which is great. But what do we say on this show all the time? Personal finances are personal. So for everybody's personal situation, there might be some nuance, including if you're trying to get the best home loan possible, you might have to be good at debt. Get that credit score, because if you have a good credit score and you can prove, yeah, I am good at debt, that means you will get a better interest rate on the biggest debt of your life, like the home loan. So beyond the credit being an issue and preventing you from being able to buy right then and there, Dave Ramsey also talks about when you buy a home, put 20% down, put 20% down, put 20% down, because if you don't, all the other loans that you can get out there are bad for you, right? That's what he says.
Yeah.
Was that one of the things that was like, yeah, we gotta have 20% down?
Yeah, that was part of why we met with Greg. We knew we needed 20% down, but we didn't really know what that looked like.
So when Greg said that you could buy a home without 20%, you can buy a house without 20% down. You can buy with as little as 3% down. What were your guys' thoughts?
We still thought 20% was a good idea for us.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, let's set that as the goal, build a credit score, get 20%.
All right, Daniel, here we are in 2022. Are you and Heather homeowners?
We're not.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
I'm pretty frustrated about it, because if I had bought a home in in 2017, now it would be worth a lot more.
And what about were the home values that you guys were looking at the time?
175, 190.
Yes. And
Starter home.
Now in 2022 in Arizona, starter homes are...
Oh, 350, easy?
Yeah. Last year, in the year of 2021, the average home value increased more. Appreciation of somebody's home increased more than the amount they received on their W-2. Home values increased more in 1 year than somebody could even earn in annual income, on average. Daniel, you and Heather missed out on at least a year's worth of income added to your net worth just last year alone.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that?
I get stressed about it every year when my lease is up for renewal. When I'm trying to decide, am I going to move or should I stay and take the rent increase?
Yeah.
And that's, at this point in my life, the main reason I want to buy a house. Like, I don't care about the status. The stability of a mortgage that doesn't have to go up is what I really want for my family. And I don't have that.
So with inflation, your rent every single year is likely going to increase because costs go up. But if you have a 30-year fixed mortgage, or even go the Dave Ramsey route and get a 15-year fixed mortgage, that mortgage payment is fixed. It'll only change if the taxes and insurance associated with that house change. So when rent payments are going up with inflation, your mortgage payment, if you have a fixed mortgage payment, is not going to go up. This is another reason why buying a house is a big deal. Following Dave Ramsey's advice, yeah, it hurt you guys. You lost a year's worth of potential awesome increase in net worth in 2021. But more than anything, it has to do with cash flow. It's hurting your cash flow right now because of how expensive rent is. But then also, because home values are increasing so much, do you guys believe and have confidence in the fact that you'll be able to buy a home anytime soon? Or does this rapid increase in home values make you feel like you've missed the boat?
Yeah, man, that's a real question. Because of the cash flow issue and the rent increase issues, this means that the 20%, even the 3%, those are moving targets.
Yeah. All right, Daniel. So we started the video asking the question, did Dave Ramsey's advice help you and Heather?
Yes.
Now, did Dave Ramsey's advice hurt you and Heather?
Yes.
And I think that's important that you guys hear that. Both and is totally fine. We live in a world where there's too much. It has to be one or it has to be the other. You guys, there is an in-between. We need to have room for nuance in so many areas of our lives, but specifically for finances. Your personal financial situation is very different than the person's financial situation who's sitting next to you in the Financial Peace University class. We must remember that Dave Ramsey's advice, even this that we're sharing with you now, is going out to a mass audience. So whoever is viewing this video now does not have the exact same finances as another person who's viewing this video now. Personal finances are
personal.
Yeah. So it's okay to have personal nuance and some adjustments along the way. To be clear, I like Dave Ramsey, and here's why. He has made a huge positive impact on millions of people. So many people I know in my community are in a better spot financially because they were able to break free from some of the issues they had with finances because of his advice. However, you need to leave room for some nuance. Personal finances are personal. And if you know somebody who's a huge Dave Ramsey fan, would you share this video with them? Our hope is it encourages them that it's okay. You don't have to follow everything he says to a T. You can still love Dave, love his advice, and deviate from his advice from time to time, and maybe even put yourself in a better situation.